Suck a look at you.
You're listening to the Jersey Tuck Podcast.
Hello out there, it is May 19th and you're listening to the Jersey Tuck Podcast. This week we're rocking a healthy 5-man roster with myself, Alex, Tyrell, Fred, Josh, and Mitch. Thanks in advance for everyone following us on Spotify, liking on Facebook, subbing on YouTube, watching that content. And this week, guess what? Important occasion. We're live on Twitch once again.
Yeah. I thought you were going to say we finally got our first tweet.
Oh no!
Oh, we were all just like.
That's gonna be that's gonna be a goal for this week's
just
one day.
Yeah,
one
this
day
week's
we'll
playoffs. That's the goal. Or not? No, sorry. This year's playoffs. That's the goal. So content conveyor belt has been working this past week. Dropped some new content. TJT and their NFTs. Amazing title for a video. It's the group break of our Top Shot packs from I don't know, about a month and a half back, I would say. It's
for sure.
It's a good video to watch. There's some good pulls, there's some funny pulls, there's some classic TJT pulls. It's really good stuff. I like that video. And we'll probably do another one sometime soon. So definitely go check that out if you haven't done so already. Good thing about the healthy roster, the 5-man roster, because guess what we have this week, boys?
Playoffs?
We have the playoffs.
We can't even win a game.
From the last pod, I absolutely had to get that drop ready for this week because we're gonna be dropping it like.
I thought you were actually looking for an answer from us. And I was just like,
No,
tires spinning, trying to figure out what you wanted us to say.
just wanted to make sure that no one was talking so I could drop the drop.
Nice.
I was like counting how many of us were here.
Playoffs?
So what we'll do first is we'll take a quick rundown of the playoff picture. There's not that much done in the NBA just yet, but we'll read it out nonetheless. And then we'll discuss some of the games. We won't get to all the games, obviously. There's been a few played in the NHL so far, but we'll get to the big ones, the exciting ones, and probably the upcoming ones in the next day or so, or next week, obviously. So for the NBA, we just had the Eastern Conference play-in last night, which was Indiana versus Charlotte and Boston versus Washington. So Indiana took that one. Charlotte is gone. Bye-bye. Gone fishing.
That was...
We'll get to it. Boston, Washington. Boston took that one. So my picks, both wrong. Good stuff, me.
Mine too.
Well done.
Well done.
Idiots.
I'm wrong, and I'm cool with that because, I'm
bummed about Charlotte being. I wanted to see more of
same.
Ball, yeah.
Yeah, I think everyone did.
more balls.
TV people as well. See some more balls, but we get to see more boners, so it's fine.
Yes.
So for the NHL right now, correct me if I got this wrong, but I think this is right so far. Colorado leads their series with the Blues 1-0. Vegas is tied with Minnesota. Toronto, Montreal, Oilers, Jets have yet to play. We have the Penguins, Islanders tied 1-1. Caps, Boston tied 1-1. Canes, Preds 1-0 for Carolina, and Panthers and Lightning. Tampa leads 2-0.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So there you go. Let's get to the play-in stuff first. Let's discuss that a little bit first. And then we'll get into the NHL maybe after a segment or two. So we're going to start with talking about the Indiana Pacers versus the Charlotte Hornets, the first game of the night. So this is the 9th versus the 8th seed. This is the winner going home situation. I know pretty much everyone watched a little bit of this. Let's get some Who wants to start us off? With some initial takes, opinions on the viewing experience?
It was terrible.
That was rough.
I just became a little metal ball fan this year. I was off the bandwagon, then I jumped on, and I was like, can't wait to see that, and then just get blown out of the water. But like, what was the final spread? Like
Womp womp.
42, 32?
Oh, the as in like the
spread.
The point differential. It was big.
It was the most they had all season, which
117 for Charlotte, 144 for the Pacers. My God.
How you let someone score 144 points in
like a playoff game.
In such an
essentially
important
a playoff
game.
In a playoff game, but it's like that's in regulation. There's no overtime.
No.
Yeah.
So, my question, because I only caught the highlights, I didn't watch the actual game. Did Charlotte drop the ball, or did Indiana play?
Oh, I see what you did there.
Mad impressive.
A bit of both, honestly.
Yeah, a bit of both. I would say for me, the one thing that really stood out, I really thought that Charlotte looked incredibly inexperienced. That team is young as hell. I don't think anyone on the roster had playoff experience. Terry Rozier?
Terry Rozier, and that's about it because Gordon's out. So
yep, and they looked so inexperienced and just not ready for the moment whatsoever.
Yeah,
that's it, man. Yeah, it can be summed up to that. Playoff experience is that's a big contributing factor.
You can say playoff experience all you want, but there was no defense. Like if you watched it, they didn't look energized. There was no energy in that club.
Yeah,
at all.
And with that being said, like we got to remember, Indiana was missing Miles Turner.
Yeah,
and Karis LeVert.
Yep.
Who's averaging 25 points a game. So, like, who does Indiana really have? Who scored 144 points?
Yeah.
And they shut down Sabonis.
Yes. Sabonis did not score.
Which was really funny. I was going to talk about that. Who did that? The whole thing
with
Sabonis trying to drive, and the refs were out to get him, or he thought the refs were out to get him. It's like, no call again. I was laughing so hard.
Yeah. They that's about all Charlotte did. They contained him somewhat for a little bit of the game. And I guess that was their only game plan. It's like, hey, there's an all-star. Jump on him. That's all they
14 points.
Ignore everyone else.
So
everyone
Domantas
else.
Sabonis had 14 points, played how many minutes, Tyrell, if you got it there?
33.
33 minutes. That's a lot of minutes. Wait, he sat the fourth, but in a game where they had 144, one of your best players, if not your best player, that's his stat line. So, whew.
Eight players scored double digits for Indiana, and I don't recognize half their names. Honestly,
was it the bench?
Yeah, there was
for
three.
sure.
Three entire starting lineup was in double digits, and 3 players off the bench.
Yes, bye.
Crazy.
So that's it, I guess.
I guess you could say the Hornets were swatted.
Excellent.
Leave this pod right now.
Get out.
Out.
One thing I did notice, that LaMelo's effort, it was somewhat there. I'll give him credit. He didn't do anything special, but I saw him trying. I'm going to give him that as a rookie. Technically in the playoffs, and he was getting passes. He was finding guys under the hoop with nice passes. He was making effort plays right off the inbounds from Indiana, and it's just a little bit scrappy. So I like to see that. They got bounced. They got dominated, but I like to see that.
So he doesn't get an F. He gets a C- for effort.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, just wanted to clear it up.
It's good experience for those guys either way. This says the team as a whole.
Yeah.
For next year.
Yeah.
Goga Bitadze, there's a name. Had a great game.
Yeah. Was he the guy who scored 22? I have no idea who that is.
You just made that name up.
That's not a real player.
That's not a person.
Mr. Goga. And yes, Malcolm Brogdon and Domantas Sabonis basically sat the whole fourth. So right off the bat, when you see them on the bench coming out of the fourth, it's like, jeez, this is not good. especially for
It
the
says
winner
he-
go home game, right? Is this the 7th-8th one?
Yeah.
That's the winner go home one.
Yeah.
So, I gotta say, I was excited for it. I enjoyed the experience. The game was not competitive, and I can't say the game was all that fun, but I love to play it. I'm really excited.
Mhm.
As of right now, we are at, as I said at the top of the podcast, we are at May 19th, so we got the West play in this evening. Not sure how long I'll stay up. I really, really want to see Curry and LeBron, but we'll probably get to that a little bit later in the show.
That's tonight.
And but yeah, let's move on to the Wizards Celtics. Did you guys catch any of this game or any of the highlights of this?
I
particular game?
caught the first half.
Good stuff. Any initial thoughts on this one?
In the first half, they really not shut Westbrook down. He just could not hit a broadside of the barn. But it was a much more competitive for sure. I feel like injuries just plagued this Eastern Conference play in. Like I would love to see Jaylen Brown,
You're right.
and fully healthy Boston Celtics.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Did you know that the Celtics made the Eastern Conference Finals 3 of the last 4 seasons?
I did not know that actually, but
Nothing to
that's
show
crazy.
for it, right?
That's
You don't even
just-
think about it.
That's wild to me. Like,
Mm.
it just goes so under the radar. Because I remember, I guess one of those years Kyrie was on the squad but didn't play, and everyone thought they
Yeah.
wouldn't go anywhere. But that's when Tatum and Brown really became a thing.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's so
It's,
easy to forget about.
It's like all those years that the Raptors were in the playoffs before they won the championship.
Mm-hmm.
Especially we notice it more because being in Canada, it was something that was out there. But in the States, they never got any respect being a team that was they were always in the playoffs, going second round, getting pretty far. They were always just kind of there. So
And
I don't know. It just kind of reminds me you don't even think about it.
Yeah, for sure. And as of this season, the Rockets and the Raptors were the ones that held the longest consistent playoff streak. Bye-bye streak.
Oh no.
That's
I
gonna
know.
happen. I gotta say, Kemba Walker, he looked very happy. I don't know if you noticed that, Tyrell, watching it. He was cool. He was really into it. It was good to see him actually having a bit of success because he's had some injuries. He was on Charlotte for the longest time. Definitely underappreciated on the Celtics where you have Brown and Tatum. But he had himself a nice little game too, so it was good to see that. He
was on that terrible Charlotte team that only won 9 games.
The Bobcats one?
The Bobcats, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is probably all a bit new for
Yeah. No wonder he had a massive it's so funny because every time they cut to him, usually you just see the playoff intensity nonstop, especially with something like that. But yeah, all smiles the whole time. He was just happy to be there. It's good stuff. He had a couple lead changes, but ultimately Boston outskilled them. And Tatum, holy crap, what a game for Jason Tatum.
What a player, man.
50 points. 50.
That's it.
Did he drop
That's it.
50?
Yeah.
That's it.
That's it. Yeah.
They're going to get bounced so hard by the Nets.
Yeah.
Oh my God. If Jason Tatum got to drop 50 to beat the Wizards.
Yeah, really though.
There's
He
no
is
hope.
he is a large part of why they were there. That was an ugly game overall, except for because when your guy needs 50 to basically seal the deal for you, and also Bradley Beal had you could tell the hamstring was bothering him a little bit.
Yeah, he was on the bike a lot.
Yeah.
Who is it they're missing again?
Who's that? The Celtics?
Yeah. Who
Jaylen Brown.
Yes, right. I keep forgetting his name.
Yeah, Jaylen Brown, great player, had a great start to the
Was
season
it-
too.
MCL or ACL injuries. I know it's season ending, right?
He had a wrist surgery, I thought.
Oh, was it? Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
it was
I thought-
something that was bothering him, and he had a set amount of games in his head, and then he was like, "I'm gonna call it a day after that." So it was something that he's been playing through, but
Oh, okay.
yeah, he was like, "I can't play with playoffs with that." Also, Tatum went 17 for 17 from the line,
Perfect. Immaculate.
and Davis Bertans went 0 for 7
Oh, good.
from 3-point land. Ugh. Yeah.
When are you going to cut it?
I don't know about
you
that
go.
Wizards team, man. They're ugly. Ugly.
It's,
Yeah.
The Westbrook and Beal pairing is just
It's so weird.
You don't think of a flowing team, a nice flowing, grooving team when you think of the Wizards.
Absolutely not. But I will give them this. They started the team off trash, like bottom of the barrel, terrible team, and they fought their way back. Like it's mostly Westbrook because Beal was leading the league in scoring for the longest time, but then Westbrook picked it up, and obviously Beal's scoring decreased because Westbrook's getting other guys involved. But good on them for making it that far because they were shit at the beginning of the season. They still have a chance against Indiana. What's your picks for that? Throw some picks out there.
I'm gonna say Indiana, honestly.
Ooh, spicy. Someone's
I like
taking
it.
one of those spots.
I like it. I'm going with Pacers too. Why not?
Yeah.
Nice.
I
Spicy.
just
Unanimous.
feel like Westbrook's a great player, but I just feel like he's such a liability most of the time. Like whenever I watch him, it's never a fluid game. It's always just him jacking.
It's effort is what it is. It's all
Yeah.
effort.
Yeah, you can't knock him for that. But just, like, his style is just so grating, honestly.
Yeah.
It's so humor me because I'm not as versed in it as you guys might be, like, because you guys watch a lot more than I do. But like, I just always got the impression that that's just kind of his game, though. Like Westbrook has he ever really like meshed really well with other players?
No.
It's always around him, right?
He's a good piece to have on your team. But he's always had that kind of style that's like he's never silky smooth.
No.
Like you can't guarantee an excellent clinic from him on a night-to-night basis. Like never anything like that. You
Not
can always guarantee effort, which is, I mean, probably a cliche whenever you say that about guys like him and Jimmy Butler, but it's true. It's easy to see. You see any Westbrook highlight, you're like, dude is literally trying his ass off in this like second regular season game. Like,
Yeah,
that's what I love about Westbrook, man.
I like
Love
that.
it.
Mm-hmm.
To go on that, the a quote from I think Patrick Beverley, I think sums up Westbrook's game really well.
Always
It's-
welcome
they
to
were-
this pod.
They were chirping each other, and I think Westbrook told Beverly told Westbrook that he locked his ass down, and then Westbrook was like, "I have 45 points," and then Beverly was like, "He took 35 shots." And that's just Westbrook's. He'll give you a triple double, but he won't have any problem taking 40 shots if you let him.
And he'll be confident with every single one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I saw recently Beverly actually put Westbrook on his like hardest to guard kind of list, and those guys hate each other. Those guys do not like each other because I'm pretty sure he was the reason for Westbrook's knee injury a couple years back. He sidelined him for a little bit because they banged into each other's knees. So I guess that wraps up that much of the completed portion of the play-in. I'm going to take. You know what? I'm going to take. This is probably a terrible pick, but I'll take the Wizards. I'm expecting Beal's hamstring to still not be good, but I'm gonna expect one of those fluctuations in Westbrook's game to seal the deal, and maybe Bertans goes more than 0 for 7. So I'll take the Wizards, and I'm not confident in that whatsoever. All right, let's get to the first segment of the show.
That stat is steamy. The steamy stat.
The steamy stat this week. We have two that I kind of wanted to talk about. So the Kings finished this season 31-41 and missed the playoffs for a 15th straight time. The longest current postseason drought in the NBA, which also matches the longest streak in league history. The 77-91 Los Angeles Clippers. 15 years. Woo! That's not good. That's really bad.
And is there light? Like, I don't know them. Like, is there light at the end of that tunnel right now? Who do they have?
They have Fox. That's pretty much it.
They got Fox.
They got
There's no
De'Aaron
way.
Fox.
They got this guy named Fox.
De'Aaron
they
Fox is...
They trade Brogdon, didn't they?
yeah, Brogdon's on Pacers now, which is easy to forget about.
Not Brogdon, sorry.
Brogdon was a Buck, yeah.
The Bogdanovich?
Yep, he's gone.
Yeah, they traded him. It's like,
So what's the likelihood that next year they are going to break that record and not make the playoffs?
So
no.
they're the West, obviously, right? I would say 100%.
So they're gonna be the worst team of all time.
I will say the biggest playoff drought is going to go with the Kings. I don't see them going anywhere. And they kept Luke Walton. They announced that today. They're keeping their coach, which
Really?
you know what? Obviously, the blame goes to the coach a little bit too quick sometimes. But in a situation like that, I want to switch something up, you know. But
Let's just sell him to Seattle, honestly.
there you
Bring
go,
back the
man. Just,
Sonics.
see, the
Bring him
thing
back.
is, it's one of those teams with a little bit of history. So if you do anything, everyone's gonna flip.
A little bit of history.
That'd be a good jersey for nastier nights.
A little bit of
nice.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, a little bit of history. 15 years from playoff drought.
I was gonna say, miss the playoff that many times consecutively. How much history do you have?
Oh, and they also this is an interesting little tidbit add on to that stat. They had one All-Star in that period. Who could name it? It's pretty easy.
It's DeMarcus.
It's
Yeah,
DeMarcus Cousins.
Marcus Cousins.
Wait, one All-Star in 15 years?
I think so. I think that's true.
That's rough, man.
That's terrible.
That's rough.
Really bad.
You
Anyways,
should be a fan.
just go to one of the other LA teams, seriously.
Really though, like you have so many options around you.
Yeah.
Just
why
leave.
be a Kings fan, seriously? And I don't think anyone would blame you at that point. It's kind of like being a Texans fan right now. Anyways, go ahead. You go ahead.
I was gonna say perhaps all Kings fans are those kinds of fans that have like a very close second place team.
Right.
You know what I mean? One that they're always ready to be like, okay, this is my second favorite team, and they get pumped in the playoffs. So they're like, oh, the Kings are officially out again. All right,
They
go
just
home state.
They take their jersey off. And it's just a Lakers jersey on.
Yeah. I was gonna say have a Kings tattoo but a Lakers jersey.
Yeah.
It's probably something like that. So the next stat is so Kyrie Irving entered a very prestigious club. It's one of those like stat line clubs, kind of like the triple double, but in the 2011 number 1 overall pick, Kyrie Irving became the 9th player in NBA history to join the famed 50-40-90 club. So those are percentages: 50 from the field, 40 from 3, 90 from the line. So only 9 players to ever do that. Irving shot 50.6% from the field, 40.2 from deep, 90.2 from the charity stripe, over 54 appearances this year per the score.
Ooh.
So,
All right,
hey.
I'm curious on who they are.
I don't have that. I know that Larry Bird did it.
Oh, of
twice,
course.
I
No,
think.
Steve Nash was on
Steve
there.
Nash.
Nash. Yeah,
Yeah.
Nash has to be there. I'm sure Jordan's there too.
And Kevin Durant, I think, actually as well, because I remember hearing it's like, man, that's 3 of them on that current Brooklyn Nets team technically, because Steve Nash is the coach. But yeah, that's the steamy stat of the week.
Love it.
Can I sneak a quick one in?
Yes, you can.
Plot twist. No, I just want to throw it out there because they officially announced it. Like I think maybe like 30 minutes ago. Not that we didn't already know, but Austin Matthews winning the Rocket Richard. Not the fact that he won it, the fact that I had never really realized this, but with his 41 goals this year, he was the first one to win the Rocket Richard for Toronto, who's been around for over 100 years. The last player to ever lead, he's the first player in Toronto to ever win the Rocket Richard.
Wow.
Since the trophy existed. The last player, though, to actually lead the league in scoring was a player named Gay Stewart in 1945. That was the
Poor
last
Leafs.
Toronto Maple Leaf. Yeah.
The poor Leafs.
Yeah.
Good old Gay.
Good old Gay.
So, and the Rocket Richard Trophy is leading scoring trophy, correct?
Leading goal scoring, yeah.
Good stuff. Clutch, steamy stat there. Nice.
Love it.
So let's take the pod over to the NHL side of things for a bit. The NHL is quite a bit more underway than the NBA. Is there any particular series or game you guys wanted to talk about on this week's pod?
I want to talk about
So,
many of them.
We'll dive in deep on 2 or 3, and then we'll take some big headlines from others. So is there any you want to bring up? I mean, I got a couple things to say about that Avs Blues game 1,
yeah.
but
I I want to talk about the Florida series because that first game was
Yes.
insane, but it's still irking me, and like I'm so undecided and down the middle on what Tampa did because it's so smart, but it's so fucking like underhanded regards to manipulating the salary cap. The way they did is it's brutal.
So for those who didn't listen last week, do you want to just quickly go over it again?
So
just a brief summary.
Essentially, Nikita Kucherov, who is arguably one of the best players in the league, he's been in one of the top of the leaderboards for scoring in the last few years. Had hip surgery in the off season and hasn't played a single game, regular season game all like this year, and he's been on, and he has a hefty contract. So because he was on long term or on the IR, he doesn't affect the cap. So Tampa Bay were managed to spend to the cap without his cap affecting it. And then all of a sudden, as soon as the playoffs hit, which we knew was coming because he's been skating and practicing for a while, as soon as first game one hits, same with Stamkos, who was out for like 2 weeks or a month before the playoffs.
Stamkos
they're actually ready and healthy and ready to play.
Yeah.
And they got players now in a roster that technically they would never be able to form.
Yeah.
Because if these guys
they're like 92 million now or something, or
Yeah,
100.
They're 100.
100.
In layman's terms, they jumped the gun. They greased their way over the salary cap.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
But
100%.
not even by a little bit. Like they're over the cap by like 20% of the cap almost.
Are you hearing a lot about that? Like, are you hearing a lot of people be like, "This is bullshit," or are you just being
Sure.
like, "We've seen it before," kind of thing?
You know what's funny about it? I think
to this extent. We've never seen it to this extent. It's never because it's never been that big of a contract. I mean, I think this shows too how well rostered the team is that they did not rush or push Kucherov back at all this year because they knew they could still get in. They didn't care where they got in. They just knew they had to get in. And as soon as they got in, they friggin' powered up.
Right.
It was like it was always part of the plan.
Yeah.
It was always plan. They knew they were doing this from the get-go.
Other teams were doing it too. But the thing is that no team did it to the extent that they did. They even added like a top 4 defenseman at the deadline.
Yeah.
Like they picked up David Savard, who's a really solid defenseman, just to add him in, right? But because they had Stamkos and Kucherov out, right, at the time, he didn't count against the cap. They could put him on the books, and then all of a sudden the playoffs start.
Right.
Now Toronto's done a similar thing, but it's a little bit different because they traded for someone who was injured.
Right.
Yeah.
So
just to get that LTIR.
Well, they did it, but then the player is now coming back for the start of the playoffs. Like they picked up Riley Nash, who's going to play in Game 1.
Playoffs?
Then playoffs. But like it's funny how this little cap manipulation thing has been going on, but no one has been the perfect word for it is brazen. Like no one has been brazen enough to like put your top superstar on it for the whole season. Not even your top superstar, your top 2 superstars on it. And then just be like, okay, let's add better players and then just bring them back in the playoffs.
And it wouldn't be so bad, but Kucherov's pretty much been skating for like the last month.
Yeah, he was able to come back before.
And what's even funnier, the guy hasn't played all year. He comes back first game, scores 2 goals.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's get to the game. The game went 5-4 for the Tampa Bay Lightning.
What was Game 1?
Yeah, that was Game 1.
That was Game 1.
That was Game 1.
What was game? I think it was 3-1, wasn't it, or something?
Game
2 was 3-1 for the Lightning.
Right.
Yeah.
This for a series that started off like a fucking like firecracker, it was the epitome of what the NHL probably wanted. They looked at that game. Game 1 was like the NHL just wishes they could just bottle it, and then just have every game like that. It was amazing.
It was electric.
Was that the first game on the schedule of the whole playoffs?
No, it was the
Washington
playoffs?
game. The first minute.
That was good too.
Yeah, that was a good one.
The only problem is, I'm kind of not surprised because Game 2 wasn't near as electric as.
No.
I think they were running around way too much, especially Florida.
Yeah.
Panthers, and it was chaotic hockey and it was undisciplined hockey. There was penalties left, right, and center.
They were missing Sam Bennett too when he got suspended.
Yeah.
They really missed him.
a bunch of players like took some cheap shots,
Oh,
even in
yeah.
game one. Like McDonough, like a lot of players could have been suspended,
I
not just
wasn't
Bennett.
I wasn't sure they were going to suspend Bennett for that hit because of how I think it was
Actually.
Blake Coleman he hit. Because Blake Coleman looked okay afterwards, but man, that was a vicious hit. Like I
Actually-
remember watching that inside the corner. I thought Blake Coleman was down because he came out of nowhere and friggin' hammered him from behind.
Mitch, actually, I hear that from Bennett's hit that Nazem Kadri's actually going to miss game 2.
You fucking say that joke. Actually, you know what? It don't fucking matter because Kadri's been sucking for the last month.
Has he really?
Yes, he's not been good, man. He's right now. If Colorado lost him, it wouldn't hurt the team.
He's probably like, I don't know. I'd be really curious to see how he affects that series now in the playoffs.
He's not playing well right now at all.
Is he
So
injured?
it looked like, or I'm seeing here from the box score, the Lightning got off to a quick start with 2 goals right away in the first period. Then they kind of traded goals for the remaining 2. And
Just a nail biter of a game, right?
yeah, and the first one was all over the place. So, in the first game, the Lightning were the only ones to score in the second period, but goals all over the place in the first game. Like you said, really exciting stuff, kind of like your ideal situation for TV guys.
A lot of it's nerves too, right? A lot of it's like, you're trying to get everyone's full of energy, you're amped up, and you're going to make mistakes. It's going to be a high scoring game.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's unfortunate because like a game that starts like that's so entertaining or a series, I should say, that's so entertaining and awesome to start.
Yeah.
There's a good chance that could end in a sweep.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Like all it takes is one bounce to go the other way.
Yeah.
If Florida was to win game 1 and they were still in game 2 the whole way through, like this could be a whole different series. But now they're going back to Tampa. They've lost the first 2 games.
Yeah.
Like, they could be swept. So the best.
I mean, it is the Florida Panthers who you know what? I didn't realize this either, and I guess you could use this as a steamy stat, but they haven't won a playoff series since 1996
When they
They
went to the
lost in-
finals.
when they went to the final and got swept by Colorado.
Man, I never knew
Wow.
that.
Let's talk about something for a second. Not necessarily something that already happened. Let's give a portion of the show to probably. It's going to be a big TV game. Let's talk about Habs Leafs a little bit more before it actually happened, because it's going to happen tomorrow. We have 2 very big fanboys on the pod of both clubs. And is there anything you guys want to maybe predict, maybe hope for? Who's an X factor on each of the squads? Start with Fred. Who's an X factor on the Habs?
Okay, so I already gave my predictions. You can check it out on Twitter or whatever. Like, I think I unfortunately
Twitter or whatever.
Twitter.
I'll give it an RT on the Jersey Tuck Twitter account
for sure. And it's unfortunate. I think the Leafs are going to win, but the X factor could be the Habs are rested. I think that is the X factor, because when Montreal started off this season, they were hot, man. Like, everyone's like, oh, they're with Toronto the whole way through. Then they got COVID, of course, and then they were started off really, really well again after they came back. But then so many games, I don't want to use it as an excuse for the guys, but they played the most games in that short amount of time than any other team.
Yeah,
it was so condensed. Like, they were playing every other night.
With a sport like hockey too, like, people don't realize, man, hockey's like, it's physical as hell, and if you're condensing your games into a tighter space, that's not good for your players, especially if they just had COVID and the whole team was sidelined, right? So it's a big deal. I think people forget about that a little easy.
And to add to that too, like, and you add injuries to it, so, and then a coach being fired, and then like all these happening was like you had your 4 main lines, your main D. But then people are going out and you're just constantly juggling. I don't think Montreal have a set line because they change it every night. Like, that's the way it's been. But I think that will be the X factor now that, unfortunately, they're not playing some players, whatever. Well, that's another.
We can get into
that's
that
another
too.
thing. But I think the first game is they went with all the veterans, and let's just see how they look in game 1. That's what I think.
Good stuff. X factor for the Toronto. Oh wait, go ahead, Mitch. You go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say too. I saw a clip from practice today, and Price got scored on, and then continued to. Turn
Oh,
around
yeah.
and smash
Oh, I saw
goal
that.
stick- goal
He was
stick
so
cross
mad.
across the bar.
Speaking of which, I need to
I
get
don't know.
the Allen Iverson practice sound drop. We had that on a previous show, Josh. We need to get that in here.
Talking about practice.
Practice?
Correct.
Not the
Oh
game.
yeah.
That's a game I love.
Not a game.
Talk about practice.
So for that series, Toronto are overwhelming favorites.
Yes.
It's
Which makes
disgusting.
you nervous.
It's like this is the best team that I've ever seen, Toronto Ice. They're excellent. They're well-rounded. They can do everything. The thing is my X factor is going to be the fact that it's the Toronto Maple Leafs. Seriously, that's it.
Both
That's
of these
literally
No
are
it.
faith in your team.
Both of these are
That's
so
literally
cryptic.
it.
I like it, but both of them are so cryptic. It's like
Yeah.
rest and they're my team.
So yeah, that's it. Like I'll put it into perspective. Like Dom Lucian from The Athletic, right? He quantifies everything in
Shout
hockey,
out.
right? Yeah, I'm gonna
Hey,
throw a shout out
Athletic,
there.
sign us up.
Yeah, he quantifies everything in such a crazy way, but it's really funny. Like he's got Toronto. It's probably ranked like 16th. He's got Toronto beating like Montreal. Like it's the biggest gap in probabilities in the last like 20 years. Yeah. Actually, on that list also is Colorado Blues. Just to say, Colorado are supposed to be overwhelming favorites to beat the Blues, but it's funny. But on that list, there's like 4 times that the underdog won. I think it was 3 of those times it was Montreal.
There you go.
Just to throw it out there.
Man.
I can't remember which year it was against Boston. Montreal was the underdog, and then also against Pittsburgh, underdog.
I gotta say, one thing I can
Managed to do
gather
it.
from all this is they really don't need to sell that series any more than like
No.
like they don't need to do any marketing. It sells itself. Everyone's gonna watch it. It's gonna do incredible on TV. It's gonna be
It's
awesome,
going to-
man. You
it's
just
going
really
to
wish the
crush.
fans were around. You really do.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
happened.
that's the worst part. Yeah, if it makes the games, well, yeah, we'll get to that. But
We'll get to that. Yeah.
I don't. Go ahead, Mitch.
I was just saying, Josh, it's funny. Josh shares the same sentiment as other Leafs fans I've been talking to, where it's like they're just like obviously overwhelming favorites, but it's just they've been hurt so many times by this
permanently
franchise
damaged.
that they're so like
Wary.
wary and
Yeah.
just can't just like it's just like everything is just so half-hearted. It's like I can't trust you. You have to earn my trust.
I
What's
really
really
like
funny-
you, but I can't trust you.
What's really funny about it is I wouldn't feel this way if they didn't have the tendency to just let like
Yeah.
a crazy third period like just breakdown happen, right?
Talking about that Boston one.
Well, not even just one. It
pretty much
happens
every
every year.
Yeah.
Like, like against like even last year you had the whole fucking Carolina E-bug situation.
Yeah.
Like they played their own practice goalie. Like
Yes.
Toronto's own practice goalie played for Carolina and they still lost the game
Yeah, and
on an
yeah.
emergency basis.
So, I mean, just super quickly for those who don't know, he was the Zamboni driver for the Carolina Arena.
No, for the Toronto
For
Maple
the
Leafs.
Toronto. Arena.
Yeah.
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 Well, it was the Marlies, isn't it? It's not even
It
The
was the
Marlies, yeah.
Marley Zamboni driver.
So that's the point where you can completely understand our
That's it.
Josh's perspective.
There's just
Yeah.
this crazy irony. Even last year in the play-in round, they lost to Columbus in the game 5, where this team that had like throughout the whole season had no problem scoring goals, couldn't score.
Right.
In game 5.
Mm.
Is there any other series that you guys want to talk about? Maybe one more of one that's happened that is presenting some interesting storylines.
I want to talk about Washington, Boston, but I do just want to touch on one other one really quickly.
Sure, go for
And
it.
it's more so just to summarize the whole season. So Pittsburgh and the Islanders. I'd still take Pittsburgh to win the series, like they're favorites, but I kind of more want to talk about the fact that Pittsburgh just does not go away. Like even now, like all of a sudden, like like they're at a point in their careers, the guys are older, like they're a bit like, on the decline.
Right.
Are they?
But like no matter what, it's Sidney Crosby, Evgeny Malkin, Chris Letang, and then like a roster of Mark Donk, Buzz Flibbits. Like they're just thrown in just these guys,
Hey,
they're all good.
For someone who doesn't watch like as much hockey as you, nearly.
Yeah.
Did you say Buzz Flibbits?
Yeah, I'm just like that's not even me. Like that's just like a sentiment on Twitter.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people make fun of it. They're like,
it's just
like just guy. Like
Right.
it's just like no name guy gets thrown in. He's all of a sudden a 30 goal
Okay,
scorer.
I was gonna say that's better.
Teddy Bluger.
Yeah,
gonna
Teddy
say-
Bluger.
Teddy Bluger.
That's better than Ron Tugnut. Not quite.
Yeah, Ron Tugnut.
No, good old Ronnie.
Yeah. It blows my mind. Like no matter what, Pittsburgh just always comes back. Like Cody Ceci sucked forever.
He's good. He's good.
He goes to Pittsburgh and he's good. It
Strange.
doesn't make any sense. I don't know.
And
So,
Crosby's being Crosby. Like there
Yeah.
was a clear open net, and Crosby just dives in and becomes
even-
goalie.
yeah, he's even
He's
playing
an elite goaltender now.
Yeah.
We always draw similarities between these two sports that we follow the most closely. Would you compare Sidney Crosby a little bit to LeBron James in
I
that
think
regard?
so.
You think?
Yeah.
Yep, both can be whiny Suki babies.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
That's the first point I was gonna go to.
Crosby's not bad anymore. He was in his younger years. He's not like
Yeah.
that anymore.
LeBron still does it too much. for
LeBron got
who he
worse.
is and what he does.
Oh yeah,
LeBron's got worse.
he got a lot worse in his old age.
Yeah,
honestly.
You're right. LeBron
Yeah.
got worse. Crosby got better. LeBron got worse.
Yeah.
There was a point they were the same, but one was on the decline, one was on the incline.
The most badass thing where I'm just like, I love Sidney Crosby was the whole Mathat when he got his finger cut off in the game.
Oh yeah.
That's
And he
a
was like,
suck.
man, you cut his finger off. He's like, yeah, I get hacks in the hands every day. Yeah,
It's
it happens.
true.
And he was just like, I'm a superstar. I get killed. And you guys don't say shit. And I'm just like,
Yeah, but yeah, but he didn't have
Yeah.
his finger blown up. Mathot's finger was like
I know,
blown up.
but just his reaction to that was like, yeah, it is what. And his face was just like that. Happens to me every day.
He
The
does.
Mitch,
robot.
it wasn't. It
I was
wasn't
like-
blown up. It was literally hanging. Like
Yeah, I know. It's
he
like
took his
he
glove
flipped
off
it.
and his finger was hanging off.
Off, yeah. Oh, it's so gross.
You said Crosby's finger was? I must have
No,
missed
that
this.
was
Crosby.
Mark
With
Crosby.
Crosby slashed him.
Oh, okay, right.
Yeah, and everyone's like, "Oh, why'd you do that, Crosby's man? I take that every day," kind of thing.
Right.
Like it was in his
get my
younger
fingers
years,
cut off
he
every day.
probably would have been different.
I'm basically Frankenstein.
Yeah, do it once.
I lose a finger every practice.
Every practice.
Yeah, right.
You should
That
see
guy
the
did
ice.
take a
It's
beating.
littered with fingers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every Pittsburgh game.
These are fingers of orphan children.
Oh boy.
Oh fuck, man, love it.
Let's get into the news segment. So, for those who weren't here last week, body count is essentially to Tyrell as well as the listeners who didn't tune in. Body count is essentially the big physical play of the week. We obviously have a couple of different plays from every sport, except every one of the big four, except for maybe baseball. Actually, Kevin Pillar, the pitcher who got
Ooh,
hit.
Yeah.
that would count. That would
That
count.
might get nominated this week. Poor Kevin, man. Anyways, we'll get to that maybe a bit later in the pick and roll. But for this week's body count, we're gonna roll it over to Fred. Do you wanna give a little summary of what it is before we take a listen?
Of course. So, okay, for me, I was sitting down, getting ready to watch this game with the Caps, and I was like, okay, I want to see what the tone is going to be. Literally, the first minute 30 into this game, and you just see Ovi coming like a truck coming towards David Krejci, and he just steamrolled him.
Yep.
It was, and then you just hear the crowd, and then that's what I want. Just hearing everybody.
it.
And I was like, playoff hockey, baby. I knew
Love
it
it.
was going to be a good series. Like, think about it. First minute 30 into the game. Fantastic.
Rocks them.
Rocks him.
And I like how you described him. I mentioned it in the chat. It's just he's a truck. He's a truck.
He is a
of man.
truck.
Everyone on body count will be a truck of a man at some point.
Oh man.
Let's take a little listen. So this is Washington against the Bruins. So here we go.
Carlo back for Boston. Dylan waits for Backstrom in front. Couldn't connect with a pass. And Alexander Ovechkin comes in with a big hit, making his presence felt in the early going.
So you can't quite hear the hit on the broadcast, but there you go. It's huge. Definitely worth looking up.
It went full horizontal. It was perfect.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So he gets himself the body count honors of the week. Congrats.
I love hockey broadcasters too. Like that's what Charlotte broadcasters remind me of so much.
Yeah,
This makes
that's a
the
good
game
point.
so much more interesting than
That's a good point.
Most of the time NBA broadcasters just talk about random analytics and like it's cool, but like none of them really get hyped. Some will get like absolutely steamrolled in a dunk, and that's cool.
There was one highlight this year. It was too funny because people always get on Rudy Gobert for a multitude of reasons, but he had this massive dunk, and the broadcasters must have been looking down at their sheets or something, but they didn't even acknowledge it. Like he dunked on a dude posterized, so I'm pretty sure he hit the deck, and then they didn't even mention it on the broadcast. It was hilarious.
So I don't know if it's like for broadcasters in the NBA, I'm assuming they broadcast more towards like the television, like the TV aspect of it. Because like in hockey, there's a history of it always being radio related. Yeah. So like that's the reason why there's a lot of hype built like with the commentators. And like even the other night, like I was watching the Pittsburgh game. Oh no, it wasn't the Pittsburgh. It was the Florida Tampa game. And like I was just amped. Like I was listening to it. I was driving and listening to it, and I was amped listening to it because I'm like, man, like
nice.
I could feel like the energy from it. Them trying to tie it up in the last 2 minutes of the game, and then like just the sheer disappointment when they let in the empty net goal.
And that's an art too.
Yeah,
the differentiation between TV and radio. But you're right, Tyrell. Eric Collins, and I've heard it from a lot of people around the league too. It's not something that's gone unnoticed. You're hearing people get really hyped about him. It's like, oh yeah, that guy in Charlotte. Like, if someone gets a dunk on that squad, just take a listen to the highlight pack. I got one here now queued up. Let me just see if it'll get right into it. Let's see if we can get to hear Eric Collins. Here we go. There we go.
Bridges! Oh my God! What?
Don't believe it.
I love it.
UFC or something.
Gordon Hayward, one man to beat. Punches it on top of Fox.
I love it. That's
I love that.
Yeah, that's the energy I want in every game, no matter what. That's so rare in the NBA.
Diddly day. I need that as a drop.
It sounds like JR on WWE.
Yeah,
like,
that's what I thought.
Like mankind was thrown from the top of the cage.
Sound like Randy Orton, just like
RKO.
RKO.
Yeah, I completely agree. He's friggin' awesome. I kind of lost track of where we were with the playoff talk. To be completely honest, I know we were getting into one last
body count.
One last
body count.
Oh, that's right. You're right.
Yeah.
Dude, I guess we'll get right into the pick and roll. What do you think? I think so. Let's do it.
Your nose.
Why not?
I'll pick my nose.
Hey, bro! Ooh. Hey! I like the pick and roll. I like the give and go.
Answer the question.
Freak out, yo!
We're at the pick and roll part of the podcast where we have the less important air quotes.
Pick your hole.
Wow.
Yeah, we're getting kicked off Spotify next week.
Hey man, Joe Rogan's on Spotify. If he can be there, everyone
Great
can be
point.
there.
We're gonna talk about the secondary or one-off mentions of the podcast, air quotes. So let's get into it a little bit. Legend Marv Albert announced his retirement following the Eastern Conference Finals of this year. I put him in the he's okay broadcasters. I don't know your opinions on him, on Marv Tyrell, but he's like just okay. He's no Kevin Harlan. He's a bit old. He's kind of in that Don Cherry part of his career where he's like, hey, you're not saying the right player, Marv.
Yeah.
Strong team, Marv.
Yeah, that Milan Lucic.
Yeah.
A bit of that was creeping. I was quite a big fan of him, like when I was a kid,
right?
Just because he was like always there,
the voice of basketball kind of thing. Yeah. Right.
But now I'm kind of like, And I think he was like did 2K, like the NBA games too. Like, it's like
Kevin Harlan. Oh yeah, I guess he was probably in the earlier ones. I would think.
Yeah, I think he was too. So as a kid, I was like, oh man, this is like this guy's basketball.
Yeah.
That's who I like listen to when I watch the games.
Right.
But
he's getting up there now. At the Eastern Conference will be his last broadcast. I'll miss him a little bit, just a little bit. He's you definitely heard him before. I don't have a sound drop. Probably should have queued that up, but he's the guy that's known for the yes, and that's about all it is. But he's no Kevin Harlan with the
Wow!
Wow.
So next up, we got Steph Curry wins the 2020-2021 scoring title of the NBA. He is, I think he might be the oldest player to do it.
What a beast.
he's oldest since Jordan. Yeah.
Good company whenever you're mentioned with that, man. So he was in a little bit of a battle with Bradley Beal. They were pretty close, pretty neck and neck. You could tell both of them really wanted it, which is actually pretty cool to see guys really try in the end, not only to get into the play-in, but to win a friggin' scoring title. That's something you want to win, to be honest. So why wouldn't you just go for it at the end of the season? Kent Bazemore from the Warriors, really stupid quote. He was like, because he's rooting for his guy, and Steph Curry said something to Bradley Beal on Twitter. You got guys out there injuring their hamstrings for this, and our guy does it. It's like, really? You're commenting on his injury, saying he's overexerting himself. So that was a bit of a low blow. Didn't like that. Kent Bazemore hasn't really done anything since he was a Hawk, anyway. So who cares about him?
People used to think he was good.
It's funny. People kind of in the same kind of breath that Jaylen Brown is now. Kent Bazemore was kind of like there-ish, maybe a bit below, but yeah.
Yeah, Houston wanted to offer him a huge contract just like 3 or 4 years ago now. And I'm so happy they didn't because he fell right off.
He really did. Who is Kent Bazemore? Next up, Shohei Ohtani. This is a big one, guys. This is big stuff. He currently leads the MLB in home runs, and for those who don't watch the MLB or aren't overly familiar with the Angels, he's a pitcher.
Fuck,
He's
man,
a
that's
pitcher.
awesome.
That's insane, eh?
That's
Like when I was reading the
insane.
notes, and I was like reading, I was like, oh man, what a pitcher! That's sick.
And
That's got to be the most valuable player in the MLB.
has to be.
Say
Has
that
to be.
again?
Yeah,
So
easily.
I'll just lay a bit of groundwork for those who don't watch too much baseball. In the National League, it has different rules than the American League, which is essentially like the East and West in the NBA, different kind of things, like
Okay.
halving the leagues. So in the National League, the pitcher is part of your position player, so they have to hit as well going through the lineup. In the American League, they don't have to hit. You have a designated hitter who doesn't play any defensive position on the field. So yeah, he hits in the National League and he leads the league in home runs. Usually pitchers are not that great.
How good of a pitcher is he?
He has like it's respectable. It's like a 2 point
4
something ERA.
Oh, he's
That's
a good pitcher
perfect.
Yeah.
then.
So MVP.
How does he have to like I know you said in the NL pitchers have to bat, right?
Yes.
So how often
It's whenever
Does
he's
everyone-
a
does
starting
every-
pitcher.
okay, does everyone have to share like the amount of times they're up to bat, or can he say like is it limited? Like can you limit him or
In
how does
baseball,
that
you
work?
have to go up and down the lineup that you sent in to
Yeah,
the
oh,
O's at the
batting
beginning of the
order.
game.
The thing that's crazy about that, then, like, correct me if I'm wrong, Alex. If that's the way it is, it's only when he's pitching. That means he's played less games too.
And his batting average must be fantastic.
Yeah, like he must be batting however many. Like he's got to be a relief pitcher.
Yeah. Well, he's a starting
Was that-
pitcher. He's a starting pitcher.
That's even crazier. That's nuts.
Jesus
So-
Christ! So
That the amount of precision of being and work that goes into obviously any practice that you do during the season, the off season, usually all of it goes into pitching, and the dude's leading the league in home runs.
Oh, that means he must be averaging a home run a game.
it
Like,
has
how many
to be
games
because
has he been pitching already this year?
he
There's only
plays-
so many games so far. So
exactly he plays once every 4 or 5 games.
yeah,
So check this out.
Right, so he's hitting once every 4 or 5 games.
He has 3 home runs in his last 3 games. Holy crap. And
So this should have been a steamy stat. There's definitely a steamy stat somewhere.
Oh
somewhere.
my God, yes.
and only 2 extra base hits allowed all year as a pitcher. Woo! What?
Man, keep an eye on this guy, man. We
He's
won't be talking about him later on in the season.
It's
for
true,
sure.
man. He's
gonna
drafted.
get paid.
Yeah. He was drafted in 2018, so he's a younger fella. And I even saw a tweet from Marcus Stroman saying, like, even he, as a fan of the game, every night checks to see it, like Shohei, like whenever he starts, to see what he's done. First starting pitcher to lead the lead in home runs since 1922.
Nice. I love these stories, man. Like, maybe this might become a
100
thing.
years.
100
years.
100 years. Like, whew. That's a good one, man. That's really exciting. I
like that a lot.
Yeah.
It's just nuts. I mean, like pitching and batting are just 2 different specialties.
Oh.
Like, you don't work on both if you're one or the
Yeah.
other. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The amount of data involved in both is obscene. And
Usually you don't, like, obviously in the NL you don't have much of a choice, but you don't want your pitchers batting and you know, it's like, I mean, that's strenuous on the arms enough as is, just as a pitcher, and then you got him batting, and then it just.
I don't know exactly where he is in the lineup, but I would assume he's probably in the cleanup or like 3 or 4 or something. But imagine that. It's like, all right, for perspective for us on the show, where you'd have like Encarnacion on the 2016 Jays, you have your pitcher. Like, it's just it's wild. Let's jump to the next topic in the pick and roll. Bell Center to allow partial attendance. That's exciting stuff.
If they make it there.
If they make it to Game 6, I believe they
Game
said.
6, man. I got my fingers crossed. Like,
I'll be honest with you, like, based on how it's been built up, if they make it to Game 6, I'm probably going to be crying. I'm going to stress crying.
Yeah, if you make it to Game 6, you should be like, oh god.
Yeah.
I mean, that's good incentive for the Habs just to, to be able to do that. But to me, I almost feel like it's bad. It's in a way almost like going to be like bad, like juju or karma.
Yeah.
Like, if you make it to Game 6 and then the Leafs go on and knock them out in 5 games or something like that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just of course.
I'm pretty sure it's only 2,500 people, so
it is.
It's not too many people. You won't even hear it. You'd be probably louder with just the fucking.
How many of those fans do you think would end up being Leafs fans?
None. I bet you there's.
You actually think so?
I bet you there's
honestly.
0.
I think that there will be Leafs fans that would pay.
Yeah,
you'd have to pay a lot of money.
Would it
exorbitant amounts of money?
Because was it a couple years back? Was it Vancouver that you're not allowed to bring opposing team signs into the arena?
No.
Was it Ottawa?
Yeah,
I remember seeing them cart out the signs like, you can't do that. You can't.
It
bring
was
that.
Ottawa because Ottawa had a bad reputation and attendance record of opposing teams showing up.
Like that looks so cringeworthy.
There was more Leafs fans showing up for Sens games. And
it makes it worse.
For Sens games,
Yeah, the Ottawa Senators actively tried to limit Leafs fans like coming to the game, which is hilarious because, like, Fred, you and I were at an Ottawa-Toronto game at the Canadian Tire Center. It's like 70% Leafs fans.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Like, it's insane. Yeah, like they overrule it completely.
So yeah, it's 12% capacity if the series goes to 6 games. So that's that. See how it goes. Our beloved Kevin Pillar was hit in the face by a pitch. Man, it looked bad. Oh, it looked bad. It was a 90+ fastball. I know that
96, if I remember correctly.
Oh my god.
Wow.
It's like 94, 96, something like
94,
that.
96, okay.
Yeah.
And it was in the
way,
face.
I mean,
it didn't
2
chip the
miles
helmet.
per hour is not going to make a difference.
Was it square in the face?
Oh, it's square.
In the bridge, like right down
right here.
Yep. And if you look,
just running.
I mean, you gotta be completely honest. If you want to look up the picture of Kevin Pillar, brace yourself.
Afterwards.
It's not pretty. And if you want to watch the highlight, same thing. Because I kind of found it a little bit. I mean, I get that the broadcast has to show the player at the plate. I found it a little bit weird how much they showed him. Like he was bleeding on the ground, and you could see the blood pouring out of his nose, and the camera just stayed on him. I was like, I don't like that.
You know what's nuts though? Marcus Stroman tweeted that apparently he showed up the next day and asked where he was in the lineup.
Tough as nails.
Yeah, he's a hockey player.
Yeah.
That's from being in Toronto too long, man.
Yeah.
That's like that was like what, like the year was it? Like, what year was it? Duncan Keith took the slap shot in the mouth.
Yeah, his
Took the
teeth
slap,
were
knocked
everywhere.
all of his teeth out, and he didn't miss a period. He came back. Next
He
period
put
and played the
tissues
game.
in his mouth, paws in his mouth, and it was chewing on them the whole fucking game.
Knocked out all of his teeth, all of them.
Oh my god.
It's a brutal highlight. If anyone, wants to take a look at it, it's really bad.
Fastball dead
Wow.
to the fucking face.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
and
his eyes just black, his nose
Oh, yeah.
eyes black. Yeah,
Full raccoon. He's gone
Okay.
full
full
raccoon.
raccoon.
I can't believe it
Oh.
didn't shatter his nose or anything like that.
it did shatter his nose. That's
It did.
Yeah.
Multiple
You
nasal
see, it's
fractures.
like
Oh, he does have fractures. Okay,
Yeah.
I didn't. I thought I just caught him. I was gonna say it was amazing if he managed to get
Yeah.
that out of that.
He's gonna
and
need a
he
nose
just
job.
he got up and just walked away. Like he had the towel and then he just moved it.
Guys.
It's like, all right, just gonna go.
Guys, we're talking about like a player that was nicknamed Superman.
That's
true.
true.
Like,
Good
come
point.
on,
That's true.
like he's living
This
up
is
to
nothing.
his nickname right now. He's living up to it.
Yeah.
His nose is like double the size right now.
Man, what a god of a defensive player in those runs, and yeah,
I
everyone
miss
here,
Kevin Pillar.
everyone
Yeah,
here is a
Pilar-
big fan.
Pilar was always my favorite in that part of that team.
He was
Yeah.
fun to watch.
Yeah,
Those catches,
the
man.
highlight catches
Oh.
in center field were something else, truly something else.
What a
He was just a
player.
good
Man.
guy too.
He was on Sports Center
Good
every
guy,
day.
yeah, and really loved Canada. Like he,
Yeah.
when he got traded, he was balling. He was
Yeah.
balling.
He, he loved being in Toronto. Yeah.
and fans loved him. So next up, you have vaccinated fans got to drive on the Talladega track on Saturday in Alabama. So us here at the Jersey Talk, we're big Talladega fans, so had to make sure to put that in there.
Love
Yeah, it's a bit of
it.
it.
Yay.
A bit of a
Ricky
little-
Bobby.
I'm coming for you, Ricky Booby.
Bit of a hillbilly story there, but had to fit it in. We had the Tigers. Spencer Turnbull throws the first no-hitter for the franchise since 2011. Pretty nice.
What?
Yeah, that was pretty good. He was
What?
dope. I saw the highlights there, man. That's
stuff.
pretty good. He was pretty. So he struck out too. It's not like it was a pop out. He struck his last
Yeah.
bat out.
That's like power.
That's always special, eh?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
like
That.
you're. It's like yeah.
Oh, and especially on modern broadcasts where you can hear the ball hit the glove too. It's like bam.
Yeah.
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 It's like, gotcha.
Yeah.
Good stuff. And I always apologies for making it Blue Jays oriented, but I remember when I'm not even a big Stroman fan, but when him or anyone that's overly emotional on the mound would get their last strikeout, they'd just yell on the mound. Love
Yeah,
seeing that.
I love that. You see more and more of it now,
Yeah,
like in baseball, and I think it's gonna be something that comes in.
I really hope so. I really do.
Yeah, I really hope so too.
Last on the pick and roll, Haley Wickenheiser just became a doctor and just got promoted to the senior director of player development for the Maple Leafs.
What a boss, man.
That's insanity, eh?
I was just I was a little confused about this actually too. I mean, so she did her doctorate, and what did she do? What is her doctorate in first?
No,
And what-
she's an MD, but the thing is, Mitch, she was already working for Toronto. She was doing her MD while being a player development coach for Toronto
All through a pandemic.
throughout the whole time.
Yeah,
Like,
so what's her reasoning for doing this specific doctorate? Because to me like an MD doctorate is like a very something you would pursue and act on.
She
But
has
she
to be
obviously
doing this
still in
for the
hockey and
team,
working for the
eh?
Leafs.
Do you think? Do you think that's her route? Is to be sports, like a sports doctor?
maybe I think honestly, after her, she was, just to put it in perspective, she's probably one of the top 5, if not best, women's hockey players of all time.
Yeah, for sure.
Finishes her career as a hockey player.
2016, wasn't it?
Yeah, not even that long ago. She was in the last playoff, in the last Olympics, wasn't she not?
Right.
The one before it.
Yeah.
She wasn't in the last
So
one.
she was in
the one
Sochi,
before.
right?
Right.
So even since then, and then just becomes a doctor.
Someone
goes to
who's
school to become a doctor.
always all over TSN and stuff. TSN, right? I think she did a
Yeah.
little bit of broadcasting for. All over the place on it. Very treasured figure in Canadian sports.
Yeah.
I think that just shows how much drive she has as a person.
That's what it is.
And that's probably what made her such a good
yeah.
athlete.
100%.
I mean, it's something she wanted to do, and she did it, even though she had job security and is staying.
Yeah.
In the Leafs organization, something she definitely didn't have to do at all.
Right.
But she did it probably because she wanted to, and
Yeah.
has it there now in her belt if she ever needs it. Maybe she has a game plan in place. But obviously, right now, she's staying with the Leafs organization. So
Like, honestly, like any other accomplishment that someone has professionally, I think, like honestly, the fact that she finished her doctorate and like moved on, that probably had something to do too with the fact that she ended up moving up then with the Toronto Maple Leafs.
right.
Like any other professional workplace, that usually is what happens, right?
Yeah.
You get a professional designation, you complete some sort of, you hit a goal, and then all of a sudden your workplace values you more.
Right.
Like, that's just the way it is. Like, I can see the same kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, hey, like she hit that, she became like a doctor, and then they've promoted her.
Right.
They shuffled a lot around. Like Toronto, like they let go of their head of player development, shuffled things around, and then promoted her. So
last thing I'll mention, I didn't have it in the doc. The WNBA kicked off within the last week or so, and it's doing very, very good ratings wise. I think
Nice.
I honestly think a lot of the players were really in the NBA were really I guess instrumental in that. They really pushed it. You had some guys walk into arenas with like WNBA gear on and stuff like that, and they really pushed it, and it's like, this is worth watching. So yeah, they had really good tip off ratings wise, and good for them.
Love it,
Good.
man. Sick buzzer beater too.
no.
Buzzer beater.
Who was it that?
Oh wait,
she
are you
hit
talking
that,
about the Haley?
Yes.
Shame
man.
on me for not knowing the name. She plays for the New York team, I believe.
It was it the Mystics? Who was it that's man? I was
It's
looking it
funny.
up. It was like 2 or 3 days ago. Can't remember.
Fred, as soon as you said that, like, you're like, sick buzzer beater, I looked to my left, and Boston just tied the game.
Oh,
That's what I thought you were talking about.
No, he
But,
was saying no. He was saying no to women's basketball. You piece of shit.
I know.
No, I was saying no to the hockey game.
No, you said sick buzzer beater.
Yeah.
Jo-
I know you
Josh
were like
goes,
referring.
no, and I knew what I was watching the game too, so I knew what he was reacting to.
Yeah, I was talking about
Hilarious.
Boston. I was like, no, not Boston.
No, not women's basketball.
Oh,
Piece of
my.
crap, Josh.
But
Shameful.
and now I'm universally hated.
Yeah, you're that guy.
Josh loves the WNBA. We all do. We ended the show with the segment celebrating. It's all
That's true.
it's all good. So without further ado, we'll probably end the pod there. We got a Western Conference play-in game on our hands. 49 for the Spurs, 56 for the Grizzlies. Probably watch a bit of that. You'll hear about it next week. And hear more about the Lakers-Warriors situation and a lot more NHL playoffs to go. Let us know in the YouTube comments if you watch this lovely podcast. Give us some playoff predictions for the NBA or the NHL. Thanks for subbing on YouTube. Really appreciate it. Send us a tweet at the Jersey Tuck. That's the biggest social plug. Send us a tweet. Just do it. Okay? Send us a GIF. Send us a GIF on your burner account.
You could tell us where to go.
Burner account.
Can you
Kevin
please,
Durant has entered the chat.
please give us a tweet?
And follow us on Spotify. Really appreciate it, guys. Any closing words, boys, for this week's pod?
Go Leafs, go.
Go Avs, go.
Playoffs are gonna win.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for listening, guys. Bye-bye.
Playoffs.